Hey everyone, I thought to celebrate Sonic's 35th anniversary it'd be fun to respond to some Sonic hot takes. So I asked Reddit, my own community, and some of my friends for their Sonic hot takes, and I'm going to respond to each of them. We're starting with an interesting one. Most Supersonic final boss fights lack any real substance and are carried by music, spectacle, or aura. So I think instead of responding to this as a whole, we should look at each final Supersonic boss. So we got Doomsday in Sonic 3, which, I mean, I think directing the missiles can be a little difficult, especially if they corner you, but most of the time they're not really going to do that. And then when you get to the chase scene, there's rings everywhere. The chase is just a victory lap. But to be fair, there isn't too much going on. You are just doing circles around the Doomsday robot. We got Perfect Chaos in Sonic Adventure 1. I think this fight has the potential to be pretty difficult, because Chaos has 3 main attacks. He can either fire a barrage of bullets at you, shoot a laser at your position, or summon tornadoes to go back and forth. I think on their own, these 3 attacks are pretty dodgeable, but it's when he, combos them, like for example, going from laser to tornado can be pretty difficult because you can't dodge 2 things by keeping away from them when they're happening at the same time. As well as rings are a finite resource. It's not like Doomsday where more just keep spawning. It's all the rings that spawn in are all the rings you get for that boss fight. So if you take forever at this boss, you're going to run out of rings. But I mean, Chaos is not the hardest Supersonic boss we've ever had. In terms of like actual boss complexity, it isn't too difficult. You just run straight at Chaos, and if you're fast enough, you do damage to him. So we got SA2 in the final hazard. I'm calling Cap. This one is really difficult. For some reason, when you're at the last 2 hits, the bullets and lasers seem to perfectly aim at you to hit Sonic or Shadow. Maybe I suck. Maybe I just need to be the one who takes the L. But I've lost so many times just because of the last 2 hits. I do not enjoy this boss fight. They're like literally spawn camping me. You aim for the giant pimple the Bio Lizard has, but like the process of getting to it is really difficult. Here we got Heroes and Neo Metal. Yeah, this is just spam Rocket Excel and Thunder Shoot until you have your Team Blast and then use it. You can easily break through Neo Metal's attacks. If he does hit you, you can easily break whatever teammate got captured, and you don't have to worry about running out of rings because there's balloons with 10 rings apiece like everywhere in this battlefield. Black Doom, I genuinely don't understand this fight because I see people play it. I've watched videos of the final boss, but I can't kill it myself for some reason. I don't know why. Complexity-wise, it isn't too bad. You go to the side of Black Doom that has the eye open, you Chaos Spirit, and then you keep repeating till it dies. And there are tons of balloons around, just like with Neo Metal that have rings in it, and getting to him isn't really too difficult. Sonic Unleashed is where I'm going to say is the most complex. You need to fly around the shield and keep running into the heads so that you defeat them. Once you defeat all the heads, you can actually break through the shield. These heads will not stay in the same position. They will constantly change their position, and also Dark Gaia will try to attack you from inside the shield, so you have to watch out for his attacks as well. After you get past the heads, it is just a quick time event, but these are pretty difficult quick time events, especially if you don't know what's coming. Then we have the Time Eater. I wouldn't say the Time Eater is necessarily complex, but I would say it's one of the harder fights. A lot of attacks to dodge, you need to keep flipping between 2D and 3D, and sometimes the attacks just hit you. Maybe, again, this could just be another SA2 situation where I'm just bad at this boss, but I feel like sometimes the attacks just hit you and you kind of just need to accept it. Also, I might be wrong here. I sometimes find it difficult to hit the Time Eater. Is this a problem someone else has? Like, sometimes I just don't hit the Time Eater for seemingly no reason at all. And then Sonic Frontiers. Like, yes, these have hype music and these are aura moments, but these bosses can absolutely body you if you're not actually trying. You need to parry their attacks, which I will admit has jokeably easy timing. You can start parrying 3 years in advance and still hit back their attacks. But you also need to use your combos, you need to target certain parts of their body. There's a gimmick with these fights, like with the Knight you need to grab his shield and throw it back at him, with the Wyvern you're flying after him, and need to do a quick time event to actually be able to hit him properly. Sure, these fights have like spectacle, aura, and good music, but I don't think it solely carries those ones, because I think the Frontiers combat is actually pretty good, even if you could argue it's a little bare bones. Alright, that was a pretty good first hot take. Let's respond to another one. Okay, so this next one. Sonic Adventure 2 is way too overhyped and entirely carried by the dark story. The hero story is a complete mess when you think about what happens and why it happens. Okay, I don't necessarily think it's overhyped. I think most people, when we're talking about SA2, we are talking about the Sonic and the Shadow stages. Because usually when I'm talking about Sonic Adventure 2, I don't find myself talking about Tails or Knuckles. So let's do what this comment says. It says, the hero story is a complete mess when if you think about what happens and why it happens. Okay, well, the hero story starts with Sonic under arrest, but we know that's because Shadow's impersonating him. Sonic gets captured and taken to Prison Island. Which, I mean, yeah, he is committing violent acts. Well, Shadow is committing violent acts, but they think it's Sonic, so they're taking who they think is a violent criminal to Alcatraz. I don't really think that doesn't make sense, but although I will admit it is a little weird that from that transmission, Tails finds his secret base in the sand levels. I will admit that's a little weird, but I also don't think it's weird since it's an Eggman base that there's a Rocket 2 space in there, and the rest of the game takes place like in and around the Ark. I don't think that story necessarily doesn't make sense, but you do have to suspend your disbelief. But I also counter that by saying, what Sonic game do you not have to do that with? These are games about a 3-foot-tall talking blue hedgehog that can run at the speed of light. They have a second one. Sonic 06 was not going to be good if it got a few more months, and it's a fundamentally flawed game since Sega has said 1 year of development and the team heard 3 years. Yeah, this is something I hear a lot, that people, myself included, do say that 06 would have been better if it had more time. I think to a degree this person has a point, like it wouldn't have fixed the flawed Sonic story, like with, him having a human girlfriend, which was just always weird. I like Shadow and Silver's stories. No, not everyone does, but I do. I mean, here's the thing, Project 06 is really popular, and it's because it's the Sonic 06 levels like that, but they function. I think if we got that as an actual game, it might have actually done well. Here's the thing, we'll never really know, because 06 is always going to be remembered as a flawed game it is. But I feel like, sure, maybe it would have been mediocre if all the bugs and stuff would have been fixed, but I feel like it would have had the same kind of maybe not the same kind of following as like the adventure games or Unleashed, but it might have had like a Heroes or like Shadow the Hedgehog kind of following. I don't know, it probably wouldn't be the best game in the series, but it might have been decent at least. Like, hell, I think if it finished and completed 06 would have been better than something like Lost Worlds or Forces, but here's a hot take one of my friends sent me. Sonic 06 is aged better than some Sonic games, specifically Rise of Lyric, Forces, and some of the 8-bit games. Yeah, I can agree with that. In terms of the speedrunning scene, I don't see anyone run Sonic Rise of Lyric anymore, and I still see people try to run 06. So in that regard, Sonic 06 is definitely aged better than Rise of Lyric. And also, I don't see anybody play the 8-bit games anymore. I've especially myself, I've never actually played the 8-bit games. I played a bit of 8-bit Sonic 2, and then I never played it again. Because I couldn't get past one of the first few levels because they had a mechanic that I just did not understand. We have a lot of stuff that originated in 06, like Silver as a character, for example, that has stuck around better than Rise of Lyric and that in the 8-bit games. Like the Sonic Boom side series is just completely gone now. No, there is no Sonic Boom anymore. The pricing sucks, but I don't think the choices of collaborations in Crossworlds is really that bad. I'd say Transformed is the worst. Yeah, the pricing does suck. It really does. I won't lie there. But unfortunately, every AAA company is doing it. Capcom's doing it. Nintendo's doing it. Sony's doing it. So unfortunately, it's really not going to matter. Like everyone is charging their games that high. So it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. The crossovers we got in Crossworlds make sense. I mean, Mega Man's gonna have his big comeback in 2027. Relationship between Bandai and Sega makes sense. So that's why we got Pac-Man. Yeah, Minecraft's like still the biggest game ever. SpongeBob is the biggest cartoon ever. I mean, TMNT is gonna get its game next year. People still talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender fondly, and also it's got the Netflix adaptation and the live-action adaptation right now. So like, yeah, I feel like the Avatar Last Airbender franchise is still alive. So yeah, I don't think the crossovers are the worst. Then we look at the like Transform side. We got like Wreck-It Ralph because Sonic was in the movie for like all of 2 minutes. Oh yeah, we got Danica Patrick, who's like a real life race car driver. Like that was an out there pick. Yeah, I definitely think the Crossworlds crossovers are a lot better than the Transformed ones. I kind of agree with this one. I don't like Sage because she's a basic design, downplays Eggman's evilness by making people see him as a fun dad guy rather than a representation of the worst of humanity. And when I say it's good because it humanizes him, it makes me feel like they're ignoring the fact there are people out there who have no sympathy for anyone whatsoever. Here's the thing, I feel like it's a bit wrong to judge Sage right now because we haven't really seen her do a lot in the games. Like, she's only in Frontiers, so I feel like we need to see a bit more from her in mainline games. She's in Frontiers, she's playable in Crossworlds, which is a racing game, so it doesn't have a story, and she makes a cameo in Murder Sonic the Hedgehog, which I'm pretty sure is non-canon. But also, she's literally just a cameo, she doesn't even say anything. I get what you're saying about it humanizing Eggman, but I feel like you can still be a horrible person and also still love your kids. I mean, it's probably wrong for me to use this comparison, but we've got Bowser, who is also a great dad to Junior, but is also still a villain. I know he's not like a great one, he is a lot more comic relief, especially in like games that characterize him, like the RPGs and stuff, but I feel like you can still be a good villain, but also love your kid. But I feel like it's a bit too harsh to judge Sage for that. I feel like we need to see her and Eggman in more games together and see how villainous Eggman is in that. But also, Eggman hasn't really been a major villain for a long time now. With the introduction of Perfect Chaos, Eggman's kind of taken a backseat as a villain because every game creates like a new like godlike character to take it over. Because we got Chaos, and we got the Biolizard, and we got Neo Metal, and so on and so forth. I know he kind of came back into prominence with Colors, but I feel like that was a step in the wrong direction because they just reused the same boss fight over and over again, and it's not like the writers gave them anything to work with anyway. And with Frontiers, they're kind of going back to that with creating like new villains for that. So I feel like this is actually already been happening for a while. But again, I feel like it's not really correct to blame Sage for that. I feel like we need to see them in more games together for that. But I like the potential Sage has. People who say Sonic shouldn't be in a relationship are being very dumb because since the games are starting to make Eggman a father, it makes it look like people who think good people can feel love. I don't think that's why. I think you're kind of looking a bit too deep into this. I feel like a lot of people overlook the reason why Sonic isn't in a relationship is because he's a free spirit and just likes to, listen to his own heart and go at his own pace. That's the reason I feel like he isn't in a relationship. I seriously don't think I think you might be looking a bit too deep into this. I don't think that's what they're doing. I just think because they don't. Here's the thing: I don't think anyone's playing a Sonic game to see who Sonic ends up with at the end of the day. I think people are playing a Sonic game to, have fast-paced action platforming. I don't think anyone's playing Sonic games for relationships. Okay, here's one that's aimed at me personally. Sonic Adventure 1 is very overrated. Everyone, aside from Sonic and Gamma, maybe Gamma, feel incredibly half-baked and has a lot of issues. The hub worlds are boring and have nothing to do with. There's a lot of things missing from this one that weren't added till later, such as the ranking system, the lightspeed dash not sucking, the tricks, the homing attacks, making the moves feel a lot less satisfying in this one. So maybe I'm nostalgia goggle, but I love Sonic Adventure 1. It's my favorite game of all time. I love Adventure 1 with all my heart. So I don't think it's overrated. I feel like it's rated for a very good reason because at least in my experience, I've come back to it many times in many different scenarios. I've always had fun just replaying the levels, and I do mean as everyone. I will admit the game has problems. It absolutely has problems. Amy's stealth mechanic they included just doesn't work. Big fishing is just a why. But the main reason I'm okay with it is because once you know how to do big fishing, it's over in 30 minutes, if even. Amy's stealth, if you're just running, you can easily evade Zero. I know it's not the most fun to play as because once you change direction, it kills all her momentum. But I think playing as Sonic, playing as Tails, even Knuckles treasure hunting isn't that bad because you're tracking all 3 Emerald Shards at the same time. I like the variety. The consistency and quality isn't exactly perfect, but I think I just love the variety of Sonic Adventure 1 more than how much it holds up. I mean, I still think it holds up. I still have fun playing Sonic Adventure even today. So again, I could be nostalgia goggles, but I still have fun with Sonic Adventure 1. I don't think it's overrated, personally. Not all of the levels in Forces are hot garbage. The Avatar ones are actually pretty decent. This is something I say all the time. They actually have replayability in them somewhat. There's several different ways you can go, different Wisp-Bombs you can use for different routes, albeit most of the levels have a similar design that both the Sonics have. Yeah, I actually agree with this one. I actually think the Avatar levels in Forces are the best in the game. The different Wisp-Bombs give you replayability. You can customize your avatar to have different costumes that will appear in the levels. By collecting all the red stars and getting different ranks unlocks more costumes for your avatar. Yeah, I don't think the Avatar levels are all that bad. The main thing that brings the game down is modern and even more so classic Sonic, because their levels are just press square to win. Well, modern Sonic is press square to win, and classic Sonic just isn't that fun to play. Secret Rings is better than Black Knight in most gameplay areas without having a long essay or a TLDR. The lack of platforming for sword combat doesn't work with the combat in Black Knight is bland and simplistic with how you deal with enemies. Also, in my opinion, in general, it's a downgrade. Level environments and gimmicks, music and bosses, and multiplayer. Yeah, it improves in having a better base Sonic game progression and more consistent controls. It ain't enough in my opinion. Alright, let's talk about this one first. I think Black Knight is better than Secret Rings, personally, because I think the story really carries itself. I think Black Knight has the best written Sonic ever, but this is about gameplay. I can kind of see where they're coming from. Black Knight doesn't have some of the features that Secret Rings has. Like, Secret Rings has a skill customization and like a SP management where you actually have to play the levels to increase Sonic's SP so you can increase what kind of skills he has. I do think the simplistic gameplay comes down to the motion controls, because you just swing the Wiimote to swing the sword. So yeah, I can understand where it's coming from. To be fair, I don't really think the Secret Rings gameplay was that much better. Like I can't remember a single time I've actually playing Secret Rings as a kid, and even though I know I played it a lot, but I don't think Secret Rings gameplay was that much better in my opinion. Sure, combat in Secret Rings just results in just do homing attacks. But then again, you could say that about a lot of 3D Sonic, I suppose. So at least when I think of Secret Rings gameplay, I'm just thinking of it's very similar to Black Knight gameplay in my head, but maybe I'm just misremembering Black Knight. Anyway, I will read their other two hot takes. The Chao Garden is overrated. You just fed it and watch it do events. You get a little personal interaction with something to look forward to. If it was like a dedicated game that had interactions, I'd say the Duck Life games where you play games to level up. Be really good if it returns. Similarly to SA1 and 2, I wouldn't really care beyond a completionist take. Yeah, I've never really cared about the Chao Gardens. Sometimes I've replayed SA1 and SA2 because I do that pretty often, and I'll be like, oh, maybe this time I'll complete the Chao Garden, and I never bothered to do it. So yeah, I kind of agree with this hot take. The Chao Garden's just kind of miss for me. If you like the Chao Garden, more power to you, but I could never really get into it. Aside from the Robotnik family, I don't really like seeing humans in Sonic worlds, except when it's like an isekai story or Sonic X or the movies where they go to the human world. I don't know, I don't really see the issue. If we have Eggman, then what's the problem with having more humans? Besides, they're not even in much games, they're in like SA1 and 2, Unleashed. You have the President and the Gun Soldiers in Shadow. That's really it. The rest don't really have, that's like 4 games. So yeah, I don't really see the issue. I think they're fine. Besides, they never really, besides like Professor Pickle in Unleashed and the President in SA2, they don't really play that much into the story. So yeah, I think they're fine. Sonic Heroes has a better soundtrack than Sonic Adventure 1 or Adventure 2. Music is objective. I can't really give a response that ticks everyone's boxes, or like is purely based in facts. But I mean, I can kind of get where they're coming from, because I will say I've gone back to Heroes more than I have gone back to SA1 and definitely SA2. So maybe they have a point there, but I feel like music is subjective. This is just, it's going to depend on person to person. Alright, I have a ton of takes from this one person. Jim Carrey's performance as Eggman is the worst part of the first live-action movie. It was good, but everything else was actually better. I don't know about that. I feel like most people say Jim Carrey's Eggman is the best part of the movie, but I mean, again, this is subjective. How an actor portrays a character is subjective. It's going to change from person to person. I mean, I don't mind it. I can't think of too much actors that could have done Eggman better if he had to be played by like a live action actor. But then again, I also don't watch too many movies, so maybe I'm a bit more tunnel visioned in this. But yeah, I think Jim Carrey does a good Eggman in the movies, especially since it's meant to be separate from the game's like characterization of him. Soap shoes are ass. I wouldn't say they're ass. I think they're all right, but I do like his classic shoes better. So I don't think they're ass, but the other shoes are better. A Blaze or Silver spin-off should be a higher priority for Sega right now than a next mainline game. It's gonna sound ridiculous at first, but the writers are not the ones who decide how popular a character is. The fans are. The Chaotix, for instance, might have gotten them more official releases with the Case Files and the 30th anniversary comic, but Silver and Blaze have had a lot more artwork, headcanons, theories, discussions, etc. Those two should have a lot more bigger focus on them currently. I kinda get what you're saying. I do think a Silver and Blaze game would be awesome. I think it'd be really cool. There's a lot they could go with, especially if they set it in the alternate dimension that they live in. I think it'd be cool. Maybe a return to the Rush formula, because that's where Blaze started. I think that might be cool, but unfortunately, even if you are right, where I do think you do have a point where the fans decide how popular a character is, it doesn't really matter because Sega's just going to make the game they make anyway. I think you have a point, and a Silver and Blaze game would be awesome, but unfortunately we don't live in a reality where we get to decide what gets made or not. They should have kept hiring children to voice Tails. I don't necessarily think so. Someone who's been chronically online, looking into like the acting world, being an actor myself, and also knowing the laws around children acting, it's very complicated. It's very complex. It's not something you can just easily do. But I think the female voice actors they've gotten to do kid Tails are fine. It's diabolical that a goddamn zombie apocalypse is canon to the games. What are they even talking about? What zombie apocalypse? Am I dumb? What zombie apocalypse is canon to Sonic the Hedgehog? Feel free to correct me in the comments if you guys know what he's talking about. Vanilla and the Conductor's Wife are nothing special in terms of appearance. Yeah, because they're not meant to be. I don't think anyone's meant to have fondness for these characters. The only people that have fondness for Vanilla and the Conductor's Wives are simps, I'm sorry. The Chaotix would be way better off without Charmy. We're supposed to excuse his recklessness because he's a kid. But 1, you don't see yourself having to excuse other child characters' actions like that. And 2, we can see that many characters' frustrations and annoyance with him far outweigh the positive of his flight. His purpose in the story, at least that's my impression, is he's meant to be a burden. Sorry, but that can't do. I mean, from a business standpoint, yeah, yes, you're right. But also, he is like the core of the group. He's also comedic relief, which is for the audience, but he's also, whether you find his comedy annoying or actually humorous is up to you. But again, comedy is subjective. But also, I feel like he's also a mediator when, you know, tensions get high between Vector and Espio. At least that's the case I got from the Case Files. But yeah, Charmy's going to be an indecisive character. He has always been indecisive since his inception in Sonic Heroes. So, some people like him, some people don't like him. I'm kind of neutral on him. But, yeah, from a business standpoint, I guess you're right. But some people like the character. I noticed that recently, at least in the movies, they've leaned more to lightning than wind when they reference him being as free as the wind. Yeah, I kind of see that. I feel like part of it is because it's maybe it's better to visualize lightning than it is wind, but yeah, no, this is something they are doing. They are leaning more towards a lightning motif with Sonic than a wind motif, especially since wind has been a part of his character forever. Like, I think the first time he mentions it is Sonic Adventure 2, so yeah, I feel like it should just be the wind, but they definitely are moving more towards a lightning motif. But who knows? Maybe they'll go back to wind. But no, this is just a fact. It's something they're doing. It's not even a hot take. It's just something they are flat out doing. I like Adventure 1 more than 2. I also think Sonic the Fighters is a good game. I'm not going to talk about liking Adventure 1 more than Adventure 2 because that's just personal opinion. I also think that today it's not as polarizing as it was, like, let's say 5 years ago to like Adventure 1 more. But also, I'm also someone who just likes Adventure 1 more than 2, and I was talking about how I love Adventure 1 earlier, so I don't want to retread the same ground. Also, Sonic the Fighters is a pretty good game. Yeah, I can see that. Now, I don't really go back and play Sonic the Fighters ever because I'm just bad at fighting games. The only fighting game I'm borderline good at is Smash Brothers. Any like actual like traditional fighting game like Marvel vs. Capcom, Street Fighter, stuff like that, I'm not good at them. But I think this game like has potential as a fighting game because it has like button combos, it has specific movesets for characters. Its soundtrack is actually pretty good for like I think it was Saturn era fighting game. It's pretty good as a fighting game. So who knows? Maybe it'd be fun to see a modern Sonic fighting game, but I probably would suck ass at it. But another take from my friend Axel. Sonic and the Black Knight is the greatest Sonic game of all time. This is not a hot take. This is just a true fact. Sonic and the Black Knight is the best. Okay, I won't say it's the best Sonic game, but I think it is criminally underrated. I think Black Knight has the best written Sonic we've ever had. It has the most hype moments, but who knows? Maybe it's just also because I'm a medieval fantasy nerd, so I love swords and armor and shit like that. It's also got one of the best messages and handles like a very serious topic, like the heat death of the universe that will come in millions of years. Like it handles it really tastefully, I think. Yeah, I think it also has a really good OST for like what the game is. This game needs more appreciation, honestly. I think Black Knight is super underrated. Alright, and that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any more, feel free to leave them down in the comments, and I might do a part 2. Who knows? If you liked my commentary, definitely hit the like and subscribe button so that you see more coming from me. I am actually working on some more gameplay highlight videos. I just procrastinated, and now they're like nowhere near finished, but I will get them done. At some point I will get them done. So you should hit subscribe so you see when that happens. If you want to see more consistent updates from me, I am live on Twitch every day. I'm not in work, so it will be in the description. You should go follow me there so you can see the gameplay videos before they are posted and being made live. Alright, I will see you next time, guys. Bye!